There. Now, the music industry's been gunning for people who illegally download songs for some time, but now it thinks it's finally nailed a poster boy for its campaign. Boston University student Joel Tenenbaum has been ordered to pay $675,000 for downloading 30 tracks and distributing them on the net. But he's only one of thousands who do it. Well, we can now talk to Dina Gusovsky and get more on this. Hello to Dina. What more can you tell us on this?
Well, everyone loves to listen to music, and most of us have downloaded music off of the internet at one point or another. Everybody does it. It's just nobody talks about it. But for 25-year-old PhD candidate Joel Tenenbaum, it goes further than that. He was accused of breach of copyright and slapped with a lawsuit back in 2003 for downloading 7 songs off of the internet. And that's precisely how the Joel Fights Back movement was born. A group of Harvard students led by their professor who are defending Joel against these major corporations who demand that he pay up. Now, as you said, just this past Friday, Tenenbaum was ordered to pay $675,000 to 4 major record companies. Well, so many questions about this case, and joining me to answer them is Debbie Rosenbaum. She's a Harvard student and also a publicist for the Joel Fights Back movement. Thank you so much for being here. So first of all, briefly talk about this case and why is it so important for everybody who's on the internet, who's downloading music, to know about this case?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So part of the reason why we've gotten involved in this case is because this case is a case against the digital generation. So many of us have seen the peer-to-peer file sharing networks, and so Joel is being made an example out of. He is being held forward as to teach other people a lesson, not to download music, and that's what we're fighting back. So he did download it illegally, right? So he admitted. So he admitted in court last week that he downloaded music off the Kazaa file sharing network. And what we've done is try and push back a little bit on the recording industry to shine a bright light on this unfair litigation campaign that they're bringing against thousands of digital natives who never realized that peer-to-peer file sharing there were issues with it. And so we're pushing back.
So he was ordered to pay this huge amount of money. So what's the next step for him?
So the next step is one of two things. We are not done with everything. There are still some post-trial motions in the works. And we are definitely going to exhaust every single legal option. Joel Tenenbaum is a 25-year-old PhD student. He does not have $675,000. So if that judgment stands, Joel has no other choice but to file for bankruptcy.
Who are you really fighting here, though? Are you fighting the musicians themselves, the record companies, the people who make up these rules as to what's legal and what's not? Who are you really against here?
It's a great question. We are never against artists, and we have never since day one said we have anything against artists, and we believe artists should be compensated for their music. What we take issue with is the recording industry creating this massive litigation campaign where an artist never sees a single cent go back to them from the settlements that they're collecting. They've sued 35,000 to 40,000 people, all of whom have settled out of fear. And the artists never see it. They never see a dime of it. They lose money on litigating 25-year-olds like Joel. And so that's who we're fighting. We're fighting an abusive court. We're fighting record labels that are actually fighting the internet. There's a generation that, or the internet has come about, and music is available on the internet. And rather than fighting an old business model that doesn't work, we're fighting back and saying it's time you create a new revenue stream and you embrace the internet rather than fight it.
How do we know when we go on the internet, there's always all these links, always something to download? How do we know what is legal and what is not? Because I'm sure that none of our audience wants to end up in the same situation that Joel is in. So how do we determine that? Or is it a case where some of these officials kind of make up the rules as they go?
I don't think the rules are made up as they go, but it's tricky because when you're on the internet and all of a sudden you get to an opportunity to download a song, there's oftentimes not next to it a copyright notice. And so on the peer-to-peer file sharing networks, you don't look at a link and say, oh, there's a copyright right next to it. The record labels argue that there's copyright notices on the actual disc and on places like iTunes. But when it comes to peer-to-peer file sharing networks, you don't know what's copyrighted and what's not. And so
Do you think that they might use that also to kind of get some money from poor internet users that don't know the difference?
They already have. That was part of the case last week in trial, and that just because there wasn't the copyright notice next to the songs that Joel downloaded, he should have known that they were copyrighted.
Thank you so much for being here and answering all of our questions. Really just a fascinating case here in the U.S., but for now, back to you in Moscow.
All right, Dina, thanks very much indeed for bringing us more details on the case and just downloading stuff off the internet in particular.